Hi, I'm David. In this video, I want to use Scalar 3 to help me provide all the harmonic and melodic content for an ambient dream sequence type tune that I want to make, whilst sending out every individual track in Scalar 3 to a DAW loaded with an instrument to be able to harness the power of your DAW. Now we're using multi-channel MIDI Out, which works with all DAWs. Check in the description below for links on those documents to help you. Hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so given the dreamy soundscape theme that I've got, or brief that I've got, I've laid out some instruments that I think will work nicely. So if we run through them quickly, we have a basic felt, a big felt, I should say, slightly different to a basic felt. Yeah. And an e-guitar for a little bit of color. Yeah, all got that lovely Lexicon Arturia emulation, that reverb, the Rex LX24, which I love. I think it's really important to have that, viola corlegno, the striking the bell with the wood, just to give us that, that plucky feel. I've got a low tide that's quite dreamy. I've got a Sequus, darker nights. I've got my woods. I think that's really important. Nice to have some, love the Spitfire stuff. I've got some horns, Native Instruments, Symphony Series, brass solos. I'm just trying to keep things not too big orchestral, because it's a dream sequence, so it's really important that I have things intimate. And Sonokinetic, one of my favourite kind of orchestral companies, lovely harmonics from the cello too. I've got an analog pad down here, CS80V, which is kind of a bit cheating given I'm trying to be as analog as I can, but really nice to have that layer. And also, I'm going to need a melody. So what I've done for that dreamy sequence is kind of inspired by that White Lotus choral pop vibe, yeah. It's just a vocal pop that I sampled. B is the root key. It's in contact, and that really gives me the ability to add that melody. Right, so I could start writing in Logic. I always need the help of something like Scalar. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close all these instances down, and I'm going to load a Scalar 3 down here on a new track. There it is. Yep, okay. And I'm going to choose a chord progression. Now, I want to do everything within this one scalar and send it out to all those instruments. Note that I'm going to be using multi-channel MIDI output within Scalar and within Logic. Most DAWs can do it, and there are instructions in the link below for a document that we've made for most DAWs to show you how to do that. Ableton's probably the only outlier, and the way around it is to use main track live sync, which is in Scalar 3.1. So you still can do this in all DAWs, effectively is what I'm saying. Given that I want to start a whole piece of music, I want help. I want a chord progression that has lots of color and variation in it. So I'm going to go genres. I could choose anything, but I'm just going to go 80s one. I'm going to right click on the chord. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to right click and add to main track. Could have dragged it, but there it is. They're the chords. I can start to arrange, but I'm going to start. You can see I've got it kind of outlined here. Bar 23 seems like a fairly good place for me to start my composition. So I'm going to move those chords over to bar 23. There it is. Now it's playing by default on basic felt number 1, because this is MIDI channel 1, and I'm going to now come over to the big felt, and I'm going to say MIDI input, internal MIDI input, and I'm going to say, yep, come out of Scalar 3, which it's already doing, and I'm going to say MIDI channel only, MIDI channel 1. So now that will play through through the big felt. You can see there's the chords. Yeah, very nice finishing on the 5. It's really nice to just find a chord progression that works. That works lovely. Okay, let's just rename this so we can see this. This is our scalar 3. And there we are. There's our main track. And I'm going to add an articulation, and I'll pull up an arpeggio. And I'm going to pull up, down. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the scalar because I don't want to hear it. And I'm going to turn on input monitoring. That way I can always hear the channel. Okay, great. So no scalar, it's just coming out the big felt. The arpeggio is also coming out of there, which is not what I want. I want the arpeggio coming out of this basic felt channel. So we've used MIDI channel 1. I'm going to use MIDI channel 2. And we're going to come over to the basic felt, and we're going to say internal MIDI instrument. Yep, scalar 3, that's good. That's what it is. And MIDI channel, let's go MIDI channel 2. And now we should see the up coming out of that channel when I it. Yep. So top is just the chords as per track. Great. Now I like to split things up, don't I? So I can see G major. Might take advantage of this, and I might put on a different arp type. So I'll come and grab my scissors. G major seems to start again there, so might just do that. Select this up down here, and if we come into the arpeggio listings, I might go thumb up. There we go, just to have a little bit of a change. Yeah, it's one of the things I love about scalars, just quickly being able to say, okay, let's just change it around there. I can see that there's a root, kind of comes back here to the root chord. We're in the G flat major scale or F sharp major scale. So I'm just assuming that chord number 1 is where we should restart things. It's a good position. So that's great. Okay, next I'm going to pull up a performance. I'm going to go expressions, performances. I'm going to use some of the new dynamic performances. I'm going to go dynamic performance 8. Yeah, we're not going to hear that. First thing I got to do is sign it to a new MIDI channel. We've used 1 and 2. I'm going to sign it to MIDI channel 3. I'm going to arm the E-guitar here so we can hear it. And I'm going to go MIDI channel input 3. And we know that the internal MIDI is already set to scalar 3. So that should just play that guitar. Yeah, nice. It's kind of an ambient-y background, but that's nice. That works for me. I might pull in a passage. I love the passages because they are effectively almost like chords, but they kind of have a different end, as you can see to the notes there. Yeah, you can hear that. Now that's going to the first. Actually, I quite like it. That's actually playing on the first chord. If I was to say only go MIDI channel 4, so it only applies to this chord Leño, and I come into MIDI channel and I say make it 4. Of course, I've already set the internal MIDI in to be instrument output scalar 3. It's important in Logic. And now we're hearing that nice strike. Yep, cool. And what I might do is I might just change things up a little bit. I might split them at every chord. And the reason I might do that is because I might change. I might say, go from passage 1 to, let's go passage 2. There you go, passage 1, passage 2, passage 1, passage 1. That's fine. I might kind of repeat that. I might go passage 1. Yeah, so every 4 bars I repeat. There you go, passage 2. Might just do it here. And I might just shorten this passage just to give me a little bit of a break before the G appears. I might do that kind of every 4 just to give it a little bit of a break. Now notice that I can't shorten this further. It's because my divisions are set at 1 bar. No problem. I'm going to set it to half a bar and then I can just pull that in. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to pull it in just to give it a little break to come back to the root chord, and same again here. Just give it a little break. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to come back to the big felt and say, don't follow those main chords. Now follow these passages. And I can do that quite simply because I know the passages are going out via MIDI channel 4. So I can come into the big felt and say, let's follow MIDI channel 4. And now if I solo just it and the new chord Leño, Yeah, nice. Passage 1 into passage, well, that's still passage 1, but passage 1 into passage 2. Yeah, passage 2 has those kind of 2 high notes. Yeah, passage 1, passage 2. Yeah, cool. I think that's sounding quite nice where we are so far. Okay, time to set a bass track. Now, love this in Scalar 3.1, articulations. We've now got a bass follow track, and that's really cool because what it simply does is it goes irrespective of what you're playing. I'm going to follow the bottom bass note. I'm going to come into low tides, and I'm going to say, actually, let's set the MIDI channel first, shall we? Let's go, what have we used? 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Let's set 5. And I've got 2 bass instruments here. My intention was to have the low tides and the dark and arid nights as bass. So I'm going to say MIDI in channel 5 and MIDI in channel 5. Sorry, that's MIDI out channel. MIDI in channel 5 and 5. And now if we arm them, we should hear that bass coming through. Yeah, I think that could probably come an octave lower. So I'm actually going to turn it down an octave. There you go. Pull it down an octave. Yeah, could also change the length too, which is really nice. Yeah, that sounds bassy to me. Really nice. Yeah, I think that's coming along nicely. Time to bring in my words. As I'm not using the main track, I could actually probably just say MIDI channel 1, follow the main chords. There we go. Let's try that. Yeah, that's really nice. While I'm there, I've got the horn track as well. I might do that too. I might say just follow those main chords. Here we go, MIDI channel 1. Yeah, lovely. So that's just following the chords. Great. Now, I want these to also follow the main chords, but I want them to be an octave below. So I might say, okay, cool. Let's go articulations, and let's create a chord follow track. And let's go to the chord follow track. And let's go MIDI channel. So what have we used? We've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go MIDI channel 6. Let's grab those chords and let's bring them down an octave, and let's come into the harmonics and let's ask it to receive MIDI channel 6. I think that's probably the safe thing to assume. And the same again for my CS80V analog pads. So if we arm them and we solo them, we should be getting a octave below. Okay, so now it feels like I need a melody. Now I could use Scalar's well-known keys lock mode, where I just have a chord on the left-hand side or on the black keys, and then the white keys respond to the chord that I trigger. But I want to look at a whole new way of creating melodies in Scalar 3. So I'm going to create a new articulation, and it's going to be a user track. And in the user track, I'm going to assign it to the next MIDI channel, which is MIDI channel 7. And here I've got that melody set up, which at the moment is that vocal kind of chop. And I'm going to say respond to MIDI channel 7. And you can see that it's coming out. Internal MIDI is already coming out and receiving it from Scalar 3. If I create a track here, create a clip, and I'm just going to remove that. So I've only just got the one clip here, which is where I'm going to write. The first thing is to note that what I love about doing it this way is I can see the actual chords, the main track chords, in the background. And that means that I can write to those actual chords. But not only that, I can actually use the keyboard view. So the standard keyboard view is chromatic, but in this case, I'm going to move it to scale notes, which basically will show me the notes of the G flat major scale. Now I'm kind of moving around scales at the moment because you can see there's a bunch of chords that are kind of out. You could argue that I'm in a D flat mixolydian or C sharp major, G flat major. Doesn't really matter. I'm just using my ears. I don't really care. I'm allowing scalar to guide me. So now I'm just going to start to write some notes. Okay, so I'm going to start. First chord is a G flat major. I can see the notes there. You can see that it's kind of got that, the top note. I might follow the top note as a melody line, which is a B flat. Yep, that's fine. I might just copy that across and just follow those chords, basically. Let's have a listen. Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah. Just using my ears and just following along, using the chords. You could argue that I'm trying to follow that top line, really. Here we go. It sounded like it wanted to stay on that D flat. Yeah, it feels like I want to. Yeah, it feels like I want to come back to that over in this section, that B flat. So let's have a listen. It feels like I want to really jump here. I've got an F here. Let's try an F an octave above. Come back to that top line. Let's do another jump here. It seems to go from this F to this F sharp, or the G flat, which is kind of my root there. Yeah, it feels to me like it wants to go to that D sharp. Let's have a listen to where we are here. Yeah, cool. That's starting to sound right. Coming back to that A flat, which is in that G sharp. It's kind of what I started down here, wasn't it? Was that top melody note. So I'm kind of looking for the top note of the chord, I guess, is what I'm following. Yeah, coming back to that D flat major. I might just follow those chords again. Yeah, going into the E flat there kind of feels like it wants to. Yeah, that kind of feels right there on that B flat. Let's have a listen. Yeah, it feels like I want to do another jump again, so I come back to the. That sounds right. To the F. Back to that C sharp, which again makes me feel like I'm in C sharp minor, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, ending there. Ending at, let's have a listen. Yeah, that kind of strangely sounds right. Have a listen. Yeah, that kind of sounds like a nice dreamy end. Let's have a listen. Yeah, I think that sounds really nice. I've kind of just used the chords, the chord notes in the background. I've used the scale notes to see where I am. I've used my intuition there. I kind of, C doesn't belong for that penultimate note, but it almost feels like a major seventh resolving back of the C sharp. Look, it's theory, isn't it? I guess you could argue I'm in a C sharp major scale and I'm using a major seventh and I'm borrowing a chord just for that section. But ultimately, it's not theory that I run on. It's kind of my intuition, and I'm allowing scalar to dictate and just using my ear. And that's what I really love about using scalar. And I find this a really intuitive way to come up with very unique melodic lines. Okay, so I think right now I've got my tune. It feels like I just need to arrange it a little bit better. So I'm going to grab these 7 chords, because it feels like bar 23 we go back to that G flat major, which is our 1 chord. So I'm going to come in and kind of repeat that section there. I'm going to repeat it again here. That might be a little bit too much. It feels like I'm kind of out of space there, so I might just grab these first 4 chords and maybe repeat that section. Yeah, that sounds nice. And then I'm going to give us the G major on its own, and I'm going to stretch it and just have an intro. Yeah, that sounds about right. So we've kind of got an intro, a verse. We've kind of got this intro, then we've got this repeating verse here, and then we've got, my bar 23 was my main section with my melody. And then at bar 35, might just grab that, that root chord and just pop it there, and probably pull that out to, let's go to bar 47. That sounds about right. Now, I don't want it all, having those notes the whole time. So I think it's nice to arrange. So let's say we, just according to those sections, I'm going to split this up over here, split that up, and split it again on bar 16. Maybe for the intro, let's try something else, shall we? Let's try thumb up, thumb down. Let's see for the intro. Here we go. Yeah, and I don't think we need the passages starting, and passages has gone all the way to the beginning. I'm actually going to split it at bar 23, which is kind of where our chorus starts, and I'm going to get rid of this front section. I might just select these first 4 and say repeat them, but let's call for a break around here, bar 16. So let's kind of do this. Yeah, passages, here we go. Yep, just repeating, same thing. So it's going to follow the chords. This is a lovely thing, is I can really do whatever it is that I want, and it can just follow those chords. And yeah, for these tracks, let's say come in with that chorus. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, it really feels like that melody wants to happen there as well, doesn't it? Now, I've actually got a little kind of background vocal ambience in G flat major that I pulled out before. So let's have a listen. I'll just pop that back in. Here we go. The arp's changed here, nice. The chords have changed because I kind of repeated those 7 chords, if you like. Yeah, okay, cool. I've got this long outro bit, so what I might do is say pull it out to, I'm not sure, it sounds like 4 bars, about the right area. I might grab this passage here. Oopsie, shift mute. I'm going to just select it. with the Option key. Yeah, just follow those passages there. And maybe for the outro, I might go again and have the ARP, say, playing another 4. Again, just kind of like trying to work it out as I go. So I've got thumb up there. I might maybe do something different. I might go back to the up down in the arpeggio. So here we go, thumb up, come back to the up down. So little different section out there, and I think I'm going to just have those strings just playing out. They were really nice, weren't they? Okay, and maybe I might have a bass. And that's the nice thing, is you can just create by pressing on that plus sign there. I'm not sure if you noticed there. If I just want to create a clip, it's really nice, very flexible just to do that, create a clip. Now it's following everything. And I've got my full arrangement. Let's have a look. I've got this kind of intro section here. I've got an intro. I've got my verse with my melody. I've got a bridge. I've got my chorus. I've kind of got a bridge before the final outro. Everything is running within scalar. Yeah, so what I love about doing it this way, I've got one scalar. I'm taking full advantage of the DAW and the DAW's power and multi processor support. And I've also got the ability to do things like automate each individual channel or change things around, or just gives me the flexibility of using scalar for what I think it's powerful for, but then using also the DAW. So it's kind of a great way to work in Scalar 3. What I'm going to do, maybe just to give it a little bit of variety, I might say kind of up until bar 13, let's, slow the tempo down from 89, and then let's do the same thing as we get towards bar 41, and kind of start somewhere here. I'm just slowing it down just to give it a little bit of, natural movement, if you like. Sounds good. Down to 80 beats per minute. Yep, sounds great. Here we go. Should start slower. Scalar should play along nicely. It is doing. It's great. Yeah, I think it's a really lovely way for me to work. Just have a bunch of instruments ready to go. They can come before or after you bring Scalar into the mix. You can just start with Scalar and then start to create instruments and assign. The lovely thing about doing this too is don't forget that I know that the ARP is running on this big felt channel. I can come in and open the automation for that channel. I can say, okay, latch on, and as I'm, say, moving around bar 10 in, or when we've got our back into our section here, I can start to automate. so it gives me the total flexibility of having scalar, being able to automate across the channels, and now I can just come into each channel and I could say, oh, I want the e-guitar following another one of Scalar's channels. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's one of a first in a series of how to make entire tracks. This one here, one scalar, multi-channel MIDI out, works with each DAWs, and it's really nice and powerful because here I can just save this preset, send it to somebody else, and they can make their own arrangement, which I think is really powerful and very unique to Scalar 3. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.